Hi, I'm Sean,
And I'm Brandon.
and we're here today at the UNLV Nutrition Center to talk to you about the various cooking methods. Cooking can be described in three principal cooking methods. There is dry heat, moist heat, and combination heat. The last method uses a combination of dry heat and moist heat in applications such as braising and stewing.
Now we're going to elaborate on some of the dry heat methods. The first is baking. This is a dry cooking method which uses hot circulating air within a contained environment to cook foods. This is usually done in the oven. The temperature used can vary depending on what's being baked. The next method we'll look at is roasting, which is similar to baking. High temperatures used in roasting are used to create browned, caramelized, or crusty exteriors. Meats such as beef roast, turkey, pork, or vegetables are often roasted. The next dry heat method we'll be looking at is broiling. This is when you cook food from underneath using a high heat source. When broiling, thicker food should be placed further from the heat source, and thinner food should be closer to the heat source. The overall goal of broiling is caramelizing and browning the top surface. Next, we have grilling, which generally uses high heat from the heat source below the food. Ideal foods for grilling include tender cuts of meat, hamburgers, fruits, and vegetables. One grilling tip: if oil is used for grilling, try to use a minimal amount to avoid flare-ups and smoking. Harmful cancer-causing agents called PAHs can form when meats are charred on the grill. Research has shown PAHs can be decreased by 41 to 89% if drippings and smoke are minimized. Other dry heat cooking methods include sautéing, which uses a small amount of fat or oil in a shallow pan. This method is for delicate foods that cook relatively quickly, such as tender cuts of meat, fish, and vegetables. A similar method, although a little different, is stir frying, which uses a small amount of fat or oil. However, it's often done in a wok, which is a large bowl-shaped pan with sloping sides. Stir frying is often used for small boneless cuts of meat and vegetables.
So now I'm going to talk about moist heat methods, which would include boiling and steaming. Boiling is a technique that involves submersing the food in boiling water or stock to cook the food, and generally cooks relatively quickly. In boiling, the temperature is maintained, circular and constant motion is created and prevents the food from sticking to the bottom of the pan. Lots of foods can be boiled, including eggs, pasta, rice, potatoes, vegetables, and even meats. Steaming involves the method of using steam from either boiling water, a stock, or a flavored liquid to cook the food. This can be done in a food steamer, a pot or a pan, in a bowl, in the microwave with a lid. Some examples of foods that can be steamed is meat, fish, vegetables, and even dumplings. Some of the other moist heat methods include simmering, and is used in cooking rice, meats, vegetables, grains, and legumes, and also poaching, and is used for eggs, poultry, fish, and fruit. Combination heat methods uses a combination of dry heat and moist heat to cook the food. Braising and stewing are examples of this kind of method. For these cooking methods, the food is first seared in a hot pan, and then liquid is introduced to completely cook the food by simmering the food in the braising liquid. These are useful techniques for tougher cuts of meat because it helps tenderize the meat and break down fibrous muscle tissue. It's a long and slow process which produces a delicious and rich braising liquid to be served with the food. Braising and stewing are very similar, and the choice of method depends on the cut of meat. Braising, typically used for larger cuts of meat, generally takes longer than stewing. Other cooking methods involve microwaving. Yes, I said microwaving. You can cook food in the microwave. It's a convenient way to defrost and cook and reheat foods. This method uses electromagnetic waves to cook the food. It's safe and effective when done right. It uses a rotating turntable, which will help heat and cook the food more evenly, and you should also remember to stir and rotate the food midway through if there is no turntable. This method of cooking ensures that the food is heated sufficiently to kill microorganisms. Do not heat up foods in plastic containers unless they are labeled microwave safe. Some plastics may contain harmful hormone-disrupting compounds such as BPA, which has been linked to cancer, thyroid disorders, and obesity.
Whenever you cook food, you will usually lose some of the nutrients during cooking. The following nutrients are often reduced during cooking. Water-soluble vitamins, including vitamin C and the B vitamins. Fat-soluble vitamins, including vitamins A, D, E, and K. And minerals, which are primarily potassium, magnesium, sodium, and calcium. Water-based cooking methods cause the greatest losses, especially boiling, because the nutrients seep out of the food and into the water. Boiling can result in up to 50% loss of some vitamins if the cooking liquid is not consumed. This is not the case with steaming, since there isn't as much water around the food. Vitamins and minerals are also lost from grilling and broiling when juice drips from the meat, but these nutrients can be restored if the juices are consumed with the meal. Grilling, microwaving, roasting, baking, and steaming may be the best methods to retain nutrients and are thought to cause the least amount of nutrient loss. In conclusion, here are our tips for healthy cooking methods. Thank you for taking the time to learn the various cooking methods. If you have any more questions, you can refer to the links below for the UNLV Nutrition Center or the UNLV Food Pantry.